Hi everyone, it's Dr. Jen Kordonsky at Optimal Spine Chiropractic with tonight's live balance class. And we have from the CDC statistics that tell us over a third of adults over the age of 65 have a fall every year. And 1 in 10 younger people fall every year. So balance is obviously important. If you look at the published research, the British Medical Journal showed some really interesting research that correlated balance to death from all causes. And if you've ever heard of something called the sitting rising test, that's also a test that was devised that correlates a person's balance and coordination with their risk of dying from all causes within the 6 years following the test. So it's really important to understand that your balance is a measure of your health, your ability to balance. And the evidence shows that balance is not just a function or a measure of your physical health, but it's also a function and a measure of your cognitive health. So to have a physically healthy body and a healthy brain and the ability to maintain that, we have to maintain and protect our balance. Most importantly, I want to point out, though, that the research does point out, the research shows that regardless of a person's status and that reflection upon their potential to live a long and healthy life, the improvements that are made, if someone goes out of their way to make improvements to their ability to maintain their balance, then that also reflects upon their mortality from all causes, their longevity, their cognitive function. So that's really important and should inspire you to say, you know what, regardless of where I am, I want to make improvements. So your ability to balance is a function of your nerve system. This is why it's so relevant to chiropractic, because your brain has to know where you are in space at all times. And it does that by receiving signals from the nerve endings all throughout your body. So those signals come through the nerves up the spinal cord to the brain. And then your brain has to send signals back out through the muscles or out through the nerves to the muscles to coordinate. So say, for example, you're walking along and you step on an uneven surface. So as your foot turns because of that uneven surface, your nerves are firing off signals to your brain rapidly up the spinal cord to let your brain know what's happening. And your brain is detecting this change in position, and it's rapidly sending signals back down the spinal cord to the muscles of the foot, ankle, and leg to adapt and correct for that. Now, if those signals aren't traveling quickly enough, or if there is some interference in the communication through the nerve system, i.e. subluxations, then your balance and coordination are going to be impacted negatively. You also know that when there's interference to the nerve system, then your health and your function are impacted in a myriad of ways. So if we want to have a long and healthy life, physically, mentally, then we have to have a healthy spine and nerve system, and we have to protect and build and maintain our balance. Chiropractic is not just for people who have chronic back pain. Most of you who watch and attend these classes already understand that chiropractic is for those who want the best potential out of their body and their life. Now, let's talk about something that is an undeniable truth. The only way to coast in life is downhill. I love that expression because it reminds us that unless we are actively engaged in building and preserving and protecting the things that we value, if we think we're just coasting along, well, then the reality is that we're actually going downhill, right? So we have to go out of our way to take active care of our spine and our spinal health. We have to go out of our way to actively maintain our balance. Otherwise, guess what? It's going. All right, it's not a question. Your body is designed very efficiently. It is use it or lose it. So if we are not using and challenging our balance, our muscles, our nerves in this way, then it's going. There's no reason for your body to protect and maintain structures and functions that aren't being used. So the only way to coast is downhill, and you are use it or lose it. So it's nice to know if we're going to start addressing these things and start actively maintaining and building, ideally, then it's nice to know a starting point, right? Where am I now? And we have some tests to give you. So there's 4 tests to assess your balance. Just like we recommend that you come in regardless of whether you have pain or symptoms and have an assessment to determine the status of your spinal health, to know a starting point, then you should have a starting point of where is your balance and your coordination right now. So just contact us if you would like a copy of these tests. I'm going to try to demonstrate them here for you. Let's see if I can get myself in the camera. So test number 1, very basically, is doing just a standing on one leg test. You know, really fundamental. Ideally, you should be able to maintain your balance on one leg for at least 30 seconds. Do that on the right and the left. So at least 30 seconds. We would love to see you be able to do 60 seconds or more on each leg. The second test is what we call the chair sit to stand. And in this test, you're going to have a chair and either no arms or don't use the arms. And what you want to do is be able to go from seated to standing without pushing up, and then back to seated, standing again. You should be able to do, let me just double check, 5 complete stand up, sit down within 13 seconds. So you might need a partner to do a timer for you. But you should be able to, without using your hands and without losing your balance, stand up 5 separate times within 13 seconds in order to pass this balance test. The third test that we have for you is called the standing reach test. And the way this test works is you're going to stand up against a wall and reach your arm out in front of you. You should mark that spot where your fingertips touch the wall. What I like to do is makes it really easy is just put 2 Post-it notes side by side from where your fingertips are. Put them next to one another because that's a 3-inch Post-it note. 2 of them is 6 inches. You should be able to reach forward 6 inches without losing your balance, right? So without moving your feet, just leaning forward, see if you could take your fingers from the start of the Post-it notes past the last edge of the 2 Post-it notes. So that's 6 inches. That's a basic balance test there. Test number 4 is the dynamic balance test. There's going to be 4 positions in this test, and you should try, or you should be able to go from position 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 without putting your foot down on each side. So position 1 is your legs straight out in front of you. Position 2 is out to the side. Position 3 is behind you, and position 4 is the knee up in front of you. So you should be able to go position 1, hold it for 5 seconds in each position would be ideal, but at least 1 second, and then all the way to the back. I lost my balance a little, and then bring it all the way up in front. 4 positions, and we should be able to do each side. And if you ask us for it, we have a nice little test sheet there where you could record your results and go back and test yourself again after you've done something to challenge your balance. Because like I said, only way to coast is downhill, so we have to do something to push ourselves. Now you could just use the tests and do those every day as a way to build and train your balance, or every other day. One of my favorite ways to incorporate all of the benefits of exercise, and you've probably heard me say it before, is through high intensity interval training using just body weight, maybe dumbbells if you're more advanced. A lot of people spend time going to the gym, and they go and they walk on a treadmill, or maybe they use the machines to do strength training. And if you think about those actions, they're very predictable. They are very stable. Of course, that's a good thing in some concerns, but they're not dynamic. That's not how your body really works. You know, a treadmill is a perfectly flat surface. There's no interval. There's no change in the surface. There's, when we're doing machines for weight training, we're holding the body in ideally good alignment with good posture, and we're isolating movements. When we do either dumbbells or body weight training, there's a lot more dynamic movement in that. We have your balance being challenged really just by doing the exercise. But anytime we do a single leg exercise, you know, where you have to balance on one leg, or, you know, like for example, a single leg deadlift or a lunge where one leg is in front of the other, you are challenging the balance. So those are great ways. Yoga incorporates a lot of balance training within the practice of yoga. So that's a great way to do it. So sometimes if I'm doing, say, some upper body exercises that are really just, you know, for my shoulders or my arm, I'll just stand on one foot while doing that exercise. Makes it way more challenging, and it's it's strengthening your core and building balance right along with the upper body work. So walking on uneven surfaces is a great way to build the balance and coordination that you need. It's really good for your brain to get out in nature and walk along a trail where there's rocks and there's bumps and there's you know, things to step over. You have to be a lot more focused and present, and you're strengthening your coordination and you're improving that neurological connection to your muscles. So that's a great way. Just get out in nature and hike. Obviously, there's a lot of other benefits to that too. Anything that you do around the house, or you know, standing in line at the grocery store, you can do on one leg. You're brushing your teeth, stand on one leg. Washing some dishes, stand on one leg. The other thing that will challenge your balance tremendously is doing things that you do all the time with your eyes closed. Make sure you're in a safe place. Make sure that you have something to grab onto if you need to, because a lot of your balance comes from visual cues, especially if you've lost balance and coordination. Your brain is going to rely very heavily on visual information in order to know where it is in space. If those nerve signals aren't moving quickly enough, if the muscles have gotten weak, then your brain is going to, you know, need to get that information. You know, where is the step? What's underneath my feet? From your eyes. So when you're just standing there brushing your teeth with your eyes closed, you're gonna feel, oh, I have to, you know, rely on something besides my vision to tell me whether I'm standing up straight. It's a fun challenge. Now, if you've had any falls already, you feel really unstable doing the balance tests, or you just know like you wouldn't even attempt those balance tests, then I highly recommend, strongly encourage you to consult a physical therapist to do a little rehabilitative balance training. This is really important for your health, obviously prevention of falls, and for your mental acuity. It's not something you should just sweep under the rug and be like, oh, well, I guess I'm past that point. It's never past that point. And unless you work on it, it's only going to get worse. So if you're feeling like the things that I'm suggesting would be not a good idea for you, I don't want you to put yourself in a dangerous situation, I definitely would love to see you have a PT take you through some balance rehab and then get yourself to the point where you can start working on it a bit at home. Now, those of you who are high level, you want to really challenge yourself, and everything I'm mentioning is super easy. You could include a Bosu ball, which is like an exercise ball half, to make a very unstable surface when you're doing your exercises. You can use, a full ball. There's slack line training, which is really cool. I have one for my kids in the yard. It's basically just a ratchet strap between two trees, and you use it like a tightrope. So that's a really challenging way to build your balance. But remember, I've said it a bunch of times tonight, there is only one way to coast, and that is downhill, and that is not what we want for you. In your care here in Optimal Spine Chiropractic, we want to see you improving year after year after year. And it really doesn't matter where you are. There is no such thing as perfect. The only thing that matters is what direction are you heading in? Are you letting things slip away from you? Are you letting your health go? Or are you just taking control and doing something, anything, a little thing to point yourself in the right direction? And each little step in the right direction is critical, and it's going to build. There's no option otherwise. So big steps, not necessary, but little steps consistently build the mentality showing up to these classes and build the habits of working on your health all the time. And on that note, just make sure you've put a comment in. If you would like a copy of the balance test, we'll get them to you either in person at the office or email. Just let us know. And let us know if you have any questions. We are so excited to be putting out a new workshop calendar. So a lot of you have the old one. You're going to see some changes coming soon. And we really just want to keep improving these classes that we give to you. So make sure you share this with someone who it will benefit, and we'll see you soon.